Hang on, Fleabag. I'm coming. All right, let me just get situated here. Sit down in the air chair, park my little tootsie in the right little spot. Oh, that's good right there. Oh, that's fabulous. All right, I'm ready to roll when you are. What, we're already rolling? Oh, great. Got me with my pants down again, did you? Not ready to go. No, just leave it. We're unedited, unfiltered, uninhibited. You know that. All right, let's go ahead. Let's roll. Let's entertain our sexy mofos.
From Hollywood, welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
Oh, what a week it has been. And by the way, that's what I call you, my sexy mofos. Well, I imagine you're as eager as I am to put this one in the rear view. From the Mojo studio on Hollywood and Vine, let's kick off the weekend with another action-packed adventure.
Let's do it.
Here's what's on tap on the wrap. You gotta beware of the Okey Doke. It's underway right now, but I gotta tell you what to look for. We're talking about the Okey Doke here. All right, another round of ed drama's on the way. We haven't done this one in quite a while. We thought we'd whip it out for you. It's called the No-Brainer Trivia. You're gonna like this one. Plus our usual lunacy and loose behavior, including the Friday Mo-Fuggin' Funny. We need comic relief. And I've got the master of comic relief coming out for you. That's what's happening today on the Rat's Ass Podcast for Friday, September the 12th. Thanks for hitting the play button on whatever device you're listening from, and there's a bunch. All right, this weekend on Rat's Ass Rock TV, our Best Of series continues, featuring the Black Crowes. Love this band, have for many, many years. Plus, we've got 28 live concerts, 28 rock docs for you, the weekly top 10 videos, so we can get you locked into what's happening now in the world of rock. You can connect at ratsasspodcast.com on our new YouTube channel. Just click on the playlist tab. All right, let's get into the rap today. Oh, boy, I got to tell you, man, You know, there really isn't anything I can say that hasn't been said about the assassination of Charlie Kirk that hasn't been said already. So, you know, outside of the fact that the authorities have the guy who did it, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who was picked up in Washington County, Utah, near St. George, an area I'm very familiar with. Very beautiful area, by the way. But reports say his father turned him in with the help of a local minister. That's the reports that I heard early this morning. But I'm sure you're up to date on all of this stuff, because I'm sure you've been locked to the TV. God, what a tragedy, though, huh? Shouldn't have happened. And I hope it never happens again, regardless of what side of the aisle you represent, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, like moi, or an independent. It can happen to anybody. All I'm going to say is that, man, we are surrounded by so much evil that we're not even aware of. So much evil. Now, I've always said it was impossible to offend me. I can no longer say this, though. Those of you who went on social media to cheer what happened to Charlie Kirk offended the hell out of me. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. I went from anger to actually feeling sorry for you all. Because you know why? You have no idea how you screwed up your future. There isn't an HR department who doesn't have access to the dark web in the world who won't see what you did, and they'll never hire you. I hope you have an entrepreneurial spirit, because you're not going to work for somebody else. Unbelievable, but I can no longer say it is impossible to offend me. Now, in America, you have the right to your opinion, regardless of what it is. You're also responsible for your actions. But you do not have the right to take someone's life because you disagree with them or they've hurt your feelings. Just not done in this country. Now, my concern is you're being set up for the old Okey Doke by the Democrats. I want you to remember how we got here, first of all.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is
white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
This way. That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
That is a montage of the Democrats' rhetoric for the past 10 years. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project, the media, and several celebrities. Now, recently, our slumlord California Governor Gavin Newsom said this.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
Nice people. Right now, the Democrats are trying to convince you political violence in America is unacceptable. Don't do it. Do you know why they're saying this? It's because now they fear retribution. So they want to defuse the situation, save their hides, their political futures. Because right now, there are more eyes watching, more ears listening. It's all heightened. So now they know that they've got to be good little Democrats. Now, I want you to think back when Donald Trump was shot. We heard the same rhetoric. Political violence is not acceptable in America. They wished candidate Trump Godspeed, well wishes. They even agreed to step up his Secret Service protection. And within 2 weeks, heading towards the election, the media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, and all of the leftist print media started with the racist, Nazi, fascist threat to democracy bullshit again. No doubt at the direction of the Democrats who have these media outlets in their pockets. So I expect this is what's going to happen again. 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be nice and quiet. They'll keep everything cool. Then we'll start to hear it again. I just want you to watch where it comes from, because right now they're trying to pull the old Okey Doke on you. Now, it is true President Trump has been guilty of giving Democrats and some Republicans nicknames over the years. But I challenge anyone to show me a video or audio where Trump has stood up with a megaphone, like Chuck Schumer, who led a "fuck Trump" chant. Have you heard Trump say, "Oh, everybody, fuck Chuck, fuck Chuck"? Rhymes a lot better. Or have you heard Trump standing in front of an audience alluding to, "God, I just wish somebody would have called me this weekend. I picked up the phone and I wish Trump was dead." Or Biden was dead. Tim Walz did that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, remember over Labor Day weekend, Trump decided to take a couple hours off? Walz is up in front of a crowd saying, "Yeah, I was hoping I'd get a phone call over the weekend telling me that Donald Trump had died." Send it to me. I'll be happy to correct myself. Now, there is a big difference, folks, between calling Joe Biden Sleepy Joe, or Gavin Newsom Gavin Newscom, or Hillary Clinton Crooked Hillary, and calling Trump a racist, a Nazi, and a fascist, and a threat to democracy. Big difference there. Now, I agree When you're the president of the free world, the nicknames need to be retired. The president should set the example for how all Americans should carry themselves. Okay, so I'm not saying Donald Trump is, gets a pass on all of this stuff. I'm just saying there is a difference with how the rhetoric has been delivered. Now, I'm reading this morning that Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert are echoing what the Democrats have been saying. They got their marching orders. Folks, I've been in these high-powered media meetings before, and I guarantee you, and I have no doubt they are being directed to say this by the network higher-ups. Got to tone it down, guys. Got to tone it down. Let's act like we care. You're going to have more people tuning in, watching you, so let's take the middle of the road on all of this. Never forget they were part of the problem in all of this. Now, I want you to listen to this bit Damon Imani put together when he inserted himself as a guest on The View, meaning he just kind of put the audio in, and it's a video, but when you look at it, it looks like he's a guest on The View. But he makes a great point. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and it sums up really all that needs to be said here.
Isn't a fundamental part of being an American that we are able to express our opinions to each other without fear, without this kind of horror happening? And it seems to be something we have been seeing more and more of. And it's not even left or right. It's just people being taken out because of their beliefs.
There's just no place for this kind of violence in this country. I am heartbroken over it. I cannot believe that someone would kill another person because they were speaking their beliefs.
Well, for years, you and your allies in the media have been conditioning half of the country against the president, his supporters, and figures like Charlie Kirk. Trump is Hitler, his supporters are fascists, right-wing extremists is danger to our democracy, they're Nazis, you know the words. Yet you seriously sit here acting surprised when lunatics who believe your words decide to take matters into their own hands. Your side burn and loot every time things don't go your way. Your side tried to assassinate the president multiple times. Your side burned Teslas all around the country and wanted Elon dead. Your side assassinated Charlie Kirk. Your side is currently celebrating it. So don't talk to me about, well, this is not a left and right issue. It is the left. It's only the left. It's ironically the Democratic side who engages in political violence and killings of figures they disagree with. And every time something like this happens, you come here, you tune down the rhetoric, crocodile tears, ooh, I can't believe this. Then a week later, you go right back at the dictator and fascist rhetoric again. So you don't really care. You're just pretending. And for that, fuck you, and you in a corner too.
He's the man with the picks. Let's see what you got this week, Shama Lama Ding Dong. Here is Mojo Elliott with Rat Sports.
Yeah, I'll show you my Shama Lama Ding Dong. All right, Green Bay laid out Washington 27-18 last night on Thursday Night Football on Prime. If you follow my picks, you know I took Green Bay. I'm now 14-3, picking winners and losers on the season. You can get my picks on the blog at ratsasspodcast.com. I don't want you to go to sleep on the wild card races in Major League Baseball either. In the National League, Cincinnati and San Francisco are tied. Both are a game and a half behind the Mets for the last wild card position. If the Reds end up tied with the Mets, though, they do hold the tiebreaker. That's what I'm holding on to as a Reds fan. Now, in the American League, Texas trails Houston by 2 games in that wild card race. And we got about 15, 16 games to go. So anything could happen. Don't go to sleep on those races. Last night at Yankee Stadium, President Trump showed up for the 9-11 game to watch Aaron Judge belt 2 dingers as he led the Yankees to a 9-3 win over Detroit. But I'd like to make a suggestion here, if I might. Permission to make a suggestion. Fleabag, may I do this? May I have your permission to do this? Thank you. Thank you very much. On 9/11, it would be nice if Major League Baseball would always schedule the Yankees and Mets to play on that date. The symbolism would be outstanding for this. All right, let's check into the chat box at ratsasspodcast.com. Luke H., Culver City, California, said, who would you start at quarterback this week between Aaron Rodgers and Geno Smith? God, you must have loaded up at running back and wide receivers if that's your quarterbacks. My God. Well, you got Rodgers at home against Seattle. Geno's at home against the Chargers. Man, I stay away from rivalry games like the Raiders and Chargers. I would go with Aaron Rodgers, to be quite honest with you, because, it's either going to be a defensive game or it's going to be all-out war, and the offensive are just going to pick each other off. But I kind of like Rodgers at home against Seattle. That's my choice. But I think as far as points, probably pretty close, around 15, 17 points. All right, and that is sports on the Wrap.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, the name of the game today is No Brainer Trivia, which means you're going to have to really be smart to get this one. So put your thinking cap on. Screw it on. Nice and tight. All right, which one of these would you see most clearly in total darkness? An owl, a leopard, or a bat? Which one of these three would you see most clearly in total darkness? An owl, a leopard, or a bat? Take a while, think about it. We'll have the answer for you coming up on the podcast.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
Oh, yes, it is. And after this week, we can all use some comic relief. All right, here is your Friday Mo Fuggin' Funny, and this is my go-to after I felt like I've had a sequoia shoved up my ass. Live from New York City. It is the legendary Robin Williams.
But it's a nice day in New York, my people. It's a beautiful day. New York police have a catch and release program. Way to go. Stop! Okay, go on again. Shoot it! Get the fuck out of here. I like New York on a day like today. I mean, for a while, everything when people were like, are you okay? And now people are back to being New Yorkers like, have a nice day, asshole. Fuck you, my friend. Enjoy your day. But the most beautiful thing about a day like today in this New York is that the ladies take the twins for a walk. Oh, yeah, the titties are out today. On a hot day, all the titties are out there, and they're the titties like God made them, going, honey, me. Beautiful titties, all different shapes and sizing, and women running, and they're going, hubbada, hummada, hummada. And then they hit a breeze, and chicken's done. These are not like the tits in Vegas where even God goes, I didn't make those.
Hey, heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
All right, the 77th Emmy Awards happen Sunday here in L.A. and can be seen on CBS. The leading nominees are Severance with 27 nominations. The Penguin has 24. The Studio checked in with 23, eclipsing Ted Lasso for the record for a comedy. And The Pit received 13 nominations. Now, I've only seen The Penguin, and it was awesome. Colin Farrell was brilliant in this. So I'm saying if it doesn't win Best Overall TV Show, this thing's rigged. All right, on the heels of her album release on October 3rd, Taylor Swift has agreed to give up evidence in the Blake Lively-Justin Baldoni legal battle. Now that Taylor and Blake are no longer besties, one has to believe this deposition Taylor's about to give isn't going to mend any fences. And I'm guessing we're not going to see Blake and husband Ryan Reynolds at the 1587 Steakhouse in Kansas City anytime soon, gnawing on a ribeye. All right, today is Sydney Sweeney's 28th birthday. Should we sing happy birthday? No, I don't sing happy birthday. But she is sharing her assets. You can check out a very nice slideshow of photos, scantily dressed, on TMZ.com. Yeah, that should get the people who hated that American Eagle ad all fired up again. And it's too bad it isn't winter. It would be a little nipply outside. All right, who doesn't enjoy a war of words between two senior citizens who don't give a damn what anyone thinks anymore? Roseanne Barr from Roseanne, the TV show that she was canceled from, and Howard Stern are going at each other. Stern called Roseanne a brain-dead weirdo. And Roseanne returned fire by calling Stern a boot-licking pussy. Pussy. Now, if I'm refereeing this match, round one goes to Roseanne, so you're up the bat, Howard. And will she ever find a man who will dangle for her delight? It's starting to look a little bleak, folks, but Britney Spears has now been single for 205 days.
Who gives a rat's ass?
Rat's Ass Podcast. email from our Gmail.
All right, as you know, I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards me your name, where you're from, and rewrites them so I can read them rapid fire and on the fly. No topic is off the table, but it is possible to offend me now. All right, Jake G. from Gulfport, Mississippi said, I was born in 2006. 9/11 doesn't really resonate with me. How did it affect you? Well, Jake, I was on the air that morning. I was on the air from 5:30 to 9 at that time, and went on the air with my usual lunacy and loose behavior. And at 5:51 in the morning, I remember it like it was yesterday, my newsman ran in to say that an American Flight 11 had hit the North Tower at the World Trade Center. And immediately, I turned on the TV that was in the studio. And it was odd because I typically had the TV on as soon as I walked in the studio that morning. I might have been running behind. But I flipped on the TV, I saw what was going on, and went to the phones, because when you have something like that happen, that shocks people, you throw the music, you throw the format out the window, and you just sit and talk with people on the phone. That's what we started to do. At 6:03, another plane hit the South Tower, and we knew that we were in for something that we had never experienced before. And the next 4 hours was probably the hardest radio I ever had to do. And yesterday, all of those feelings as I watched the memorials came rushing back. And I remember how united we were at that time, and look at how divided we are now, and ask, how did we get here? All right, Lydia K., Richmond, Ohio, said, I come from a Democratic family. I just wanted to say that what happened to Charlie Kirk was wrong. Who are these people that call themselves Democrats today? I do not recognize them. Well, Lydia, bottom line is you got some radical leftists who have hijacked the Democratic Party. That's why you don't recognize them. The two parties really used to try to work together to come up with solutions. When you have a party that has no ideas, no solutions, and just works to get people worked up on emotion, there's nobody to work with. That's really the bottom line. No matter how much they claim they want bipartisanship, they don't. Miles T., Muskogee, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a red state, and I thank God every day I don't have to deal with the psycho-liberals like you all in California. I think you're all nuts for staying there. Well, Miles, this state's worth fighting for. I've always said that. And we're going to stay and fight for it because we're getting close. We're getting close to flipping this state. If we can get our slumlord governor, Gavin Newsom, out of here, and maybe we can start to get people seeing things a little more clearly. So it's worth the wait. Have you been to our beaches? All right, Carrie D., Henderson, Nevada, said, where does the Turning Point Foundation created by Charlie Kirk go from here? Well, I would think it will go on. Charlie was a big voice, obviously. But I have a feeling when you run an organization like that, there's probably a dozen other voices waiting to be heard that will step up. Because sometimes when you take out one, 10 more are born, just like him. There was a time where Charlie was unknown, and he, by the age of 31, had become a very big political figure. I think you'll find a lot more coming up this time. All right, here's today's Kiss Me, Kill Me email. This is where you tell me what you like and dislike about the podcast. Michelle Carter, Pueblo, Colorado, said, I like to binge watch on Saturday morning to all 3 weekly podcasts. I hear more information from you than I get anywhere else. Hey, that's a fabulous comment, and that's the goal. I don't think anybody else is going to give you as much content in 3 podcasts as I do. Work a little bit harder to make that happen. But here's what she hates. She says they're too short. That's a backhanded compliment, Michelle. What do you really, really hate about the podcast? That's what I want to know. All right, if you have any questions, observations, or comments, send them to my producer, Fleabag, at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. The more outrageous and salacious, the better. But be careful. You might offend me. So don't do it.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, the name of the game is the no-brainer trivia, which means you got to really think hard about this one, because it might be a trick question. Which one of these would you see most clearly in total darkness? An owl, a leopard, or a bat? All right, if you said none because it's impossible to see anything in total darkness,
Yeah, baby.
you are correct. All right, if you guessed correctly, congratulations. You're going to have a good weekend. If you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, that's it. I got to jump, man. There is a Learn to Walk on Water class I'm taking this weekend, and I do need to go practice. But I do have one more thing for you. Research shows if you use your favorite song as a ringtone, you'll end up hating it. So don't use your favorite songs for ringtones. That's why I have Eminem on mine. I already hate his crappy raps with his 5th grade lyrics.
Since we're on the subject of music,
Yes.
Would you mind not asking me to play that Boris Brejcha house music anymore?
Well, what's your problem with Boris?
It makes me want to twerk the junk in my trunk like Cardi B.
You don't have any junk. You're a bot.
Hey, there are a lot of things you don't know about me, Mr. Podcaster.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. Just put her on mute. Welcome, Rat Nation, to Stephen Klein of Albuquerque, New Mexico. See, that's where I get in trouble. I like to pronounce things wrong on purpose, like Illinois. I know it's Illinois. Albuquerque. I know it's Albuquerque. Brandy Grossman, Tacoma, Washington. To the Resistance, those of you who email us at Rat Nation. Well, you email us, but you haven't joined Rat Nation yet. That's what I meant to say. We're up to 522 members, by the way, including Doug M., Joplin, Missouri, Manny R. from Carlsbad, California, Max G. from Reading, Pennsylvania. You got to join the Rat Nation gang. And around the world to listeners in Annecy, France, Osaka, Japan, and believe it or not, Munich, Germany, where we once had the Olympics. Way back in the 70s, I believe it was. Am I right, Fleabag, on that one? I think I am. I think so.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Go check out ratsasspodcast.com to get the entire Rat's Ass Podcast experience. You can listen to the podcasts, rock out to Rat's Ass Rock TV, read the blog. It's loaded with all kinds of hot topicality. Plus, you can still join Rat Nation without having to qualify. We'll do this again on Monday, September the 15th. Take care of each other, and thanks for dropping by the Rat's Ass Podcast.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.